Well, good morning, good afternoon, good day to all of you. Hello from Hotlanta. Well, it's not so hot today, but it is a wonderful day because it's another day above ground. Welcome to the 7-day Kwanzaa for Life Challenge. This is day 5. I'm Celeste Johnson, and I remain excited. Yes, excited about another day to share a principle, a practice, things that we can do, a perspective, a historical perspective, and one that will help us to apply the concepts, the information that we're going to be discussing. How do you apply it to your life today? What do we do with that? So that's what this challenge has been about all week. I'm so excited to welcome back those of you who have been with us before. We're going to just give a few minutes for some others to chime in. Sometimes it takes a minute or two. You know, life happens. I do understand that, but I am excited to be able to share something new every day. I must tell you, I started off with this to share some insight that I had, but of course, as I go along to prepare for each subsequent day, I learn something new. I expand my own horizons and knowledge about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a wonderful celebration that happens between Christmas and New Year. You already know this. And the concepts, the suggestions, the philosophies, the insights that are shared are really very powerful. They're really geared initially when it was designed for the African American community, as we've talked about before, from the 1960s when it was initiated by Dr. Karenga. But when you go to look at the principles and the practices, they really are human nature, human conditions that are addressed by it, and they are good for all. They are universal. So today, oh my gosh, is one of my favorite days, Nia, which is purpose. So the principle is Nia, and that means purpose. It really resonates with me a lot, particularly as you know, from if you've been with me through the week, that what I do for a living is really to encourage and inspire people through speaking and singing and through teaching and training. And I'm often really the core of part of what I do is help people identify what their purpose is, their mission, what they were uh, designed to do. I think we all came prepackaged with gifts and talents that are unique to us. You combine that with our experiences along the way, and we have a very unique perspective on life, and we are to package all of that and deliver that to the world. And so when we started talking about this particular principle, it just resonates with me excessively. So it's called Nia. Again, we've had 5 days, or this is the 5th day. Many of you will remember day 1, which was Umoja, which is unity. I've got to work on my enunciation. I know. So we talked about unity. We talked about Kuju, which is self-determination. We talked about Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. And then yesterday we talked about Ujama, which is cooperative economics. And today we're talking about Nia, or purpose. Purpose, when you think about it from the Kwanzaa definition versus the generic definition, it really is about making is a collective vocation, not just our individual vocation, but collective vocation in building and developing our community, our world, and to restore our people to the perspective and the understanding of the greatness that is inherent in who we are. The African American culture is one of the few cultures that um, doesn't has not over the years really held on as strongly as others in retaining their culture and our language and you know habits and various symbolisms and things of that nature. We by and large have, especially here in the United States, particularly have really became African Americans more so than from the African culture. And so, what we want to do is to be mindful, and that's what Kwanzaa was about, is really reminding those African Americans, particularly the Black community, of the history, of the heritage, of the greatness. We didn't all come over as quote unquote slaves. We have kings and queens, and we were brilliant and still are. In many ways. So, part of this whole purpose principle is for us to remember that and to be mindful of that as we go forward. We want to provide today some additional context in understanding purpose. And like I said, it is beyond just our individual selves, which is important because we have to start with ourselves. But then as a community, we want to look further. Matter of fact, I think one of the key principles that you'll find when you dig deeper into Kwanzaa's meaning of purpose is very much other centered. It's very much other centered. It's about using your gifts and talents not just for the benefit of generating revenue for you or being known for what you do for your own sake, but other centered. How does what you do, how do you use your gifts and talents for the community, to advance the community, to enhance the community? How do you do that? And it's really important for us to be mindful of that, starting with ourselves individually, but then our family and our surrounding community and the community at large, ultimately the world. It's very much service driven, mission driven. I love that word. Service is really important because again, it goes right along with being other centered. It's how do you take what you do, who you are, what you contribute to the world, and indeed that be a contribution that it serves other people. The most successful people in the world, if you look at it, and I study success, I'm intending to be a multimillionaire, not there yet, but I'm in route, I'm in training, and I'm almost there, are people that provide answers to problems. They serve people one way or the other. Some come from very altruistic perspectives, others just from, they're driven by the economics of it, but one way or the other, they serve people with services, with ideas, with products, things that can help people live and exist in a more beneficial way, at least from their perspective is more beneficial. So the principle is asking each of us, Nia is asking each of us to approach the way we do what we do and who we are from a perspective of service and mission. I want to talk to you about a quote. There's a quote that I love. No, it's not as David. Yeah, it is David Viscott. He said something that I have hung on my wall actually, and it's geared toward this whole thing. And he talks about purpose. The purpose of life is to discover your gift. And then he says, the work of life is to develop your gift. And the meaning of life is to give your gift away. And it's right in alignment with what I just described as purpose from a Kwanzaa perspective. It's about whatever your gift, you discover it, you develop it, and then you give it to the world. We came with gifts and talents. We have an assignment that God gives us. That's, again, this is celestology. I just believe that is true. And our assignment is to not only discover it, but to use it and to contribute it to the world. That's what it's really all about. Now, as I was studying a little bit further on this, I found something that I thought was also very interesting. It was, again, the creator of Kwanzaa, Dr. Karenga. He had a presentation. He speaks all the time, of course. And one of them, he identified 4 key concepts, main concepts. And I want to just highlight those for you. I just pulled that off, so it's not all in my head, top of mind, but I want to reference the document that I just saw that I thought would be very helpful to share with you. 4 main concepts. One of them is collective vocation. I'm going to tell you what the 4 are, and then I'll break it down a little bit more of my understanding of it, and I think it will be enlightening for you. So collective vocation is the first one. The second one is heirs and custodians of a great legacy. That's number 2 concept. The third concept is generational responsibility. And then the fourth concept is joining our personal and social purpose together. Okay, let me break that down for you because it's really pretty cool. First of all, he says a commitment to the collective vocation of building, developing, and defending our community. It's about the culture and the history in order to regain our historical initiative and greatness as a people and add the good and the greatness to the world. That's what it's all about. And when you look at these four main concepts, it really dives in deeper on it. The collective vocation is really about um, owning the greatness and what is like reflecting on the greatness of our people and our generations. So it's really taking a minute and looking back at the greatness that we represent, the heritage that we what we inherited. And I would say start not only with yourself, because it's important to look at the things that you've already done. I believe there is greatness in you. I worked many years with Les Brown, and one of the things he often says, and he asks people to say to each other, is there is greatness in you. And I agree with that. I believe there is greatness in us. So we want to start with looking at and reflecting on the greatnesses in ourselves. And then stepping back, where did that greatness come from, or how was it influenced by our parents, our uncles, our aunties, our family, the greatness that's in our family. And there are people who exemplify greatness at varying levels. It's no judgment. Some have done it in a huge way and some in small ways, but greatness is greatness. It matters. It matters. All of it matters. And then expanding beyond our immediate family to our community and our culture. So the first part really is about reflecting on that greatness and the people from generation to generation. Think about your grandmother, your great grandmother. I think about that generation of my grandparents and great grandparents and how they started businesses and they started banks, and they had less opportunity than we have today. Today, we have access to internet. We have access and freedoms that our former generations did not have. Yet, they built institutions that still stand today. I'm saying reflect on that greatness that we came from. When you do that, it shifts how you look at yourself. It shifts how you engage in the world, and you see your purpose through a different lens. That's the first concept. The second concept, as I mentioned, is heirs and custodians of a great legacy. And that really dovetails into what I was saying. But more than that is understanding how can and how will you pass that on. So once you've reflected on it and you understand it, what will you do to pass on that concept, that greatness to the next generation? What is it that you can and or will do to sustain that? I love that. And that dovetails really nicely into the next concept, which is generational responsibility. But there's a twist on what that means. That means, what is the responsibility of this generation, the generation you're in? What is the responsibility? Every generation has different things because of what's happening in the world, because what's happening in our environment. You know, we're in a different stage than we were in my mom's generation or in her mom's generation or generations gone before. The environment, the world is a different place. What is our responsibility in this generation? And the question I love about that is, are we going to fulfill that, or are we going to betray that? First, we need to know what it is, get some perspective on that, and then determine as a people or as a contributor in this generation, are we going to fulfill that responsibility or betray it? Wow. And then the fourth concept that was brought up was, it's called join personal and social purpose. So it's not in isolation. It's like, what's the mutual benefit for us personally, individually, and the community? How do they work very well together, connecting them and identifying that, so that our purpose is in alignment as much as possible with the social purpose, and being able to see what that connection is and how to leverage that and make a difference in the world. There's a quote I want to start wrapping this up with, is that Karenga said. He says, surely humans were chosen to bring good into the world. And that bringing good into the world is the essence of our purpose as human beings. That's right in alignment with what I said earlier with David Viscott. different words, same context. The Lord, I believe, from a spiritual standpoint, He gave us an assignment to be fruitful and multiply, and to um, to make a difference in this world. And so we all have this charge, and it's our charge to dive in a little bit more and figure it out, and not live um, unclear of what that purpose is. I've given you context, bigger context. Now, specifically, what do you do with what's been given to you? What do you have in your hand? One of the things I'm doing this afternoon, which I'm so excited about, I love it, I'm doing a vision board happy hour. So I'm bringing some of the people from my membership of Voices of Hope in Action, bringing us together to go through this process and really start diving in on not only what we want to achieve in the coming months and year, but in alignment with our purpose. It's all need to be in alignment. It's just not, I want a car and I want a house, but how does that fit with the service, with giving mission as a priority in our lives as well? So we want to make sure that we do that. I'm going to give you a couple of questions just to wrap this up that I want you to take away and answer. These are because I want you to apply these principles. That's part of what this whole week has been about. So ask yourself a few of these questions. Take time to reflect on your expectations from life. What do you expect from life? You probably have received many of those things already, or experienced many of those things, but you're still here. That means there's more time and more things to come. What do you expect? And number two, what do you expect to give, right? I love the idea or the message of legacy. I've done many presentations on that. And I say, you want to identify what you want your legacy to be, because you're leaving it now, one way or the other. But let's be intentional about it. Identify what you want people to say when you're gone. What do you want to be as something that's left behind? When you identify that, then you start living it now. But what is that? What do you expect? And what do you expect to leave as part of your legacy? And discuss your desires with your family and your friends, and really in your hopes. Have some conversation about that, not only for communicating yours, but hearing those of the others, because you never know. Someone right there in your midst could be someone you can serve. You can help more effectively going forward as well. And then try to determine this purpose will eventually result in positive achievements for your family and for the community. How can what you're doing really contribute to the positive achievement of your community, your family, your friends, your loved ones, people, strangers even, that may be in a position where you can use what you have to make a difference in the long run? I am going to include in the text when I post this the link to an article that I found fascinating. It is a good reflection on our culture in the past and what has really happened with our culture, African American culture, particularly in America. And it gives a kind of a historical perspective, but also a reflective tone, so we can embrace the greatness that is in our heritage and in our lives. Listen, I'm going to wrap this up. This is going to went a little long, but I love this topic. I pray and trust that this has been beneficial for you. Please leave a comment, whatever, yes, no, thumbs up. It would be great to hear your feedback. I do want you to check out, I did a video yesterday on the Kwanzaa calendar, so that next year you can keep these principles before you. Please, please, please order one or two. I really would like to get, I'm trying to get as many people engaged throughout the year so that we can start spreading this concept of contribution to the world throughout the whole year. All right, so that's my story for today. Thank you so much for being here. We are here tomorrow again. We've got a couple more days to finish up Kwanzaa, so don't miss it. Tomorrow, Saturday, 12 noon, I'll be here. All right, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.